Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So here the Iran and Israel war is still ongoing, and right now there is no intention of a ceasefire going on. So this war is illegal and uncounted for because Iran is defending itself and its sovereignty. I think people do forget that Israel has nuclear weapons. So why is it stopping Iran from not having a nuclear weapon? Now that Israel and the US has killed an 86 years old man, and that man is responsible for curbing Iran's nuclear program. Now he's gone, and right now I think the hardliner will now proceed to make a bomb. Today, let's listen to what Professor Jeffrey Sachs has to say about the whole Iran thing. But if you are listening to the Western media, they portray Iran as the aggressor and Israel and the US as the victim. That is a pure lie. The reverse is the case. So, guys, like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.
Asia that support Palestine. And he has led wars across Africa and the Middle East for this objective since 1996, including Libya, Sudan, Somalia, Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and now his dream, Iran. In my view, this is a malevolent, uh, absolutely illegal and dangerous mindset. Rather than having a state of Palestine alongside a state of Israel, which would bring peace to the world, Netanyahu is a maximalist who wants Israel to dominate the region of the Middle East. The United States has shared Israel's objective because the U.S. objective is world control, believe it or not. And Israel serves the purpose of control of the Middle East. We see that the United States has military bases all across the Gulf region, in Bahrain, in Saudi Arabia, in United Arab Emirates, and in many other places. It used to have bases in Iran, but it lost that when the US backed police state was overthrown in a revolution in 1979. The US had brought in that police state regime in 1953 when the CIA overthrew the Iranian government. So the United States wants control of West Asia. It wants control of the Americas. It wants control of Europe. And Trump, in particular, wants to control the entire world oil economy. That's why he has commandeered Venezuela's oil and why he is attacking Iran as a threat to American dominance in the Middle East. So this is a project that goes a long way back. It has nothing to do with Iran's nuclear weapons because there are no nuclear weapons. The religious leader of Iran said that this was against Shia Islam. And so the US and Israel killed him, the one that said no nuclear weapons. Iran and the UN had negotiated a complete inspection regime for Iran back in 2015, but Netanyahu and Trump ripped up that agreement in 2018, the so-called Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. This is specifically about hegemony. And of course, it puts Asia, India, China, Indonesia, the rest of Southeast Asia deeply in crisis. Israel has caused a sharp economic crisis in Asia now, and the crisis will get worse unless the countries of the world stand up and tell the United States and Israel, stop this war, stop your conquest, go back to peace live by the United Nations. Otherwise, India, China, and others are going to pay a very high price.
Let me then, Mr. Sachs, ask you a follow-up question. Donald Trump says that this is going to be an exercise. This endeavor will take about 4 to 5 weeks. Do you buy that? Because what many analysts say is that in the lack of a very clearly defined objective, what is U.S. going for? With that objective not being clearly defined, many are not able to buy into that 4 to 5 week deadline that the U.S. seems to have given itself.
The U.S. has no strategy. Trump, we know from all experience, is delusional. He's psychologically unstable. He can't keep agreements. He does not have a long-term strategy. Look at how he dealt with India during the past year. Look at how he dealt with the tariff issue when he had no legal authority to do this. He operates by bullying and by grand pronouncements that have no justification. He said yesterday, don't worry about oil and gas. The U.S. will escort tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. Almost everybody with any knowledge of this begs to differ. There is, of course, in the U.S., the biggest industry of all. That is public relations, also known as propaganda. So we shouldn't listen to Trump about any of this. We shouldn't listen to Netanyahu about any of this. Remember how Trump was going to end the Ukraine war with one phone call? Remember how the Gaza war was going to end quickly? Remember, by the way, how the Syrian government was going to be overthrown in 2011, or about how Afghanistan was going to become a U.S.-led democracy, or about how Iraq would become a stable country. They used to say the same thing in my youth about Vietnam. It's just a short period away. These people are propagandists. They are not telling any serious analysis. This war will not end in 4 weeks. This war will create an economic catastrophe unless the BRICS countries say to the United States and Israel, you've got to stop. You have no right to ruin the whole world economy.
Sure. Let me come in there. When you talk of this conflict not ending in 4 weeks' time, the next logical question is what happens to the Gulf countries, the GCC countries who've been bearing the brunt? We've had some analysts on the channel in the last few days. What they're telling us is that hosting of the U.S. air bases, which ideally should have acted as a safety shield, far from that, it's actually put these Gulf countries in the line of fire. How do you see the role of these Gulf countries play out? Do you see this turning into a protracted conflict where the Gulf countries too feel the need to come in and intervene in terms of kinetic operations?
Well, there's a famous adage of Henry Kissinger who said that to be an enemy of the United States is dangerous, but to be a friend is fatal. And this reality appears over and over again. I was just in the Gulf region a few weeks ago. I met with the leaders across the Gulf region. They all thought the U.S. is their security. This is not the case. The U.S. is their insecurity. The U.S. is like a magnet drawing the bombs and the drones right to their countries. If there had been peace based on the logic of peace across the neighborhood, they would be safe. But instead, Israel and the United States want control. Control does not bring security. So these countries are going to suffer badly. They have no potential for kinetic action against Iran. That's not even a thinkable proposition. Their oil fields, their port facilities, their refineries, their tankers are sitting ducks for thousands of drones that can come. There are not the anti-missile systems in number that can protect these assets. The only way to protect these assets is for the United States and Israel to stop their aggression. Other than that, there will be no protection for these countries in the Gulf.
Speaking of protection, Mr. Sachs, let me ask you, has there inherently been a miscalculation by the United States? I'd like to cite two aspects. One, Professor Pape of the Chicago University says that not once in human history has a regime change been executed through merely aerial operations. Has there been a miscalculation done by the United States? Is there a need for boots on the ground, or is there a need for a strategy to have been deployed that goes